So hello and welcome back to Crafty Doctor on YouTube, and in this short video I'm going to show you how to do a repair on the shoulder buttons of your Xbox One controller. In this particular example I'm using the Xbox One Elite controller, and the shoulder buttons are the two top ones as I'm showing in the video there. This particular controller, the left button, as you can see, is not pushing down on the mic switch underneath, and it's a bit loose, as you can see. And when I get a bit further in the video, you'll see why that is. And you can see the right one's fine at this point. And for some reason, there's quite a lot of people report that the left one is the one that goes faulty. And you can see just by the gap on the top of the buttons there, that the right one seems to be okay. But on the, and obviously when you push it, it's working fine. But the one on the left, it's not actually clicking in properly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, if you've got this fault and you're wanting to repair the shoulder buttons on your Xbox One controller, please do carry on watching. Okay, so let's get into the video and have a look at what you need to do. So obviously the first thing you need to do is strip all the ancillary bits and pieces off your controller. So just taking off the thumbsticks, taking off the rear paddles, take the battery out, and this particular one's got a rechargeable battery pack in it, if I can just get it out, like so. And once we've got them to one side, we can just push them out of the way. And we can concentrate on getting the other bits off the controller so we can get to the inside. Now each side, the rear of the pad, got two sides, and you've also got 5 screws. If I can get the camera just to focus. Now this one's already been worked on, because that sticker, I can just get it to focus with my hand, there we go. So that sticker in the middle there, you can see there's a screw. Now that's normally covered over with a sticker, so you can either take the sticker off to make it look a nice neat job, or you can punch a hole through the middle if you're not too bothered. This one's had the hole punched through. But we'll take the side bits off first, so these just pull off. If you've got some long nails, you can just get your nails underneath the actual side bit there in between, and it just literally just clicks off. Once you get them off, we can then work on the Torx. So there is 5 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Torx bits. And I think these are actually, I think they're a T9, I think, off the top of my head, but I think a T8 or a T9 should do it. If you've got a T8 lying around, I think it'll be a bit slack, but it'll should undo them just fine. But I think I'm using a T9 on the video here. So if you need to order them in, I'll just get a set anyways, just so you've got them handy. So take the 5 screws out. There's two on each sort of shoulder, and then 1 central, as I've just indicated there. So take them out. That one doesn't want to come out. It'll come out in a second if I take it. I'll just screw this one out as well, and the bottom one as well. Once I get these out, I'll just give it a tap on the table, and then these should just knock the screws out just fine. Give it a tap. Take the screws out. So there's only 4. Number 5 don't want to come out. I'll leave it in. It'll come out in a minute. Anyway, so we can take the top off. Take the top of the controller off. Now we've got the screws out, and then you can see the gubbins inside the controller. You see the shoulder button here. You see what it's doing. Just be careful if you're going to tip it around and move your controller now, because them motors you see at the bottom will fall out if you don't hold them in with your finger. Okay, so the next bit is to get the back panel off, and this is just sort of held in, clipped in, but it's also these, the headphone jack and the port on the bottom, so this plastic bit overlaps them, so you can either put something in between there, or you can sort of go around the back and sort of lever it off there. But it is literally just clipped in. It's the bottom ports that you've got to be more careful of. So once you get that free, and you've clicked it off like so, then be very careful just taking the ribbon cable just underneath, as you can see here. So we just need to pop that off once you get it to this stage. So don't go yanking at it and trying to pull the two apart, otherwise you'll just rip the cable open. So there's a little black clip, you should just simply clip off, and then the cable just comes away like so once you've got it to that stage. And then you can get the back out the way, and you're left with the main body, which is what we're trying to get to. And we're trying to get to obviously the top shoulder buttons. That's the purpose of all this. So like I said before, make sure these motors are pushed in firmly, because they are only held on with a couple of wires. If they come out while you're messing, you might snap a wire because of the weight of the motor. So we're going to get to the top shoulder button. So this central bit is just hooked over. The 2 little black dots that you can see here, they're just holding it in, clipped into the, let me just get these out of the way so the camera tries to focus on the middle bit instead of the other bits. So you can see the 2 holes here. This is holding the central bit, so you can get something non-conductive underneath just to get the thing started to clip off, as you can see. So you can just get it just moving, and then you can get your finger underneath it, and then you push the central button, the Xbox button down, and it should just pop away. and there you can see the broken button just jumped out. And now we're okay with the circuit board underneath, and we're okay to view this. That was just the reset button or the sync button just falling off there. But you can see obviously now the top. Now the thing to check when you get to this point is to check the micro switches are all operational. Now these two micro switches are fine, but the small slot and the two switches there, that's where the shoulder buttons click into. So there's a small arm on the button that pushes onto these and operates your shoulder button. So if I just get the button just to show you, which one's this one? The left one. This is the broken one. You can see the point there, and that little arm actually sits in the recess. If I can just show it on the video and just get it in. There we go. So you can see the arm there. It just sits on top of that micro switch just there and clicks that in and out. So make sure the micro switches are in good order, because it's pointless putting new shoulder buttons on if the actual micro switch is broken. Okay, and like I said, this is just the sync button from the top, and that just slots in, so it comes out. There's nothing to worry about there. I'll just show you here. It just slots back into the black slot like so. Again, I suppose you can check that that's working fine, which you can see there. So yeah, just leave that in for now. Okay, so the actual shoulder buttons themselves and the central bit. Now this is the original one. And unfortunately you can't usually get the original ones because Microsoft don't sell the parts for these for the shoulder buttons unless you can get one off Microsoft support. But if I take the this section out so you can see what it looks like, so you can see that's where it's snapped on the button itself, and it's all it is a piece of plastic, one lump of plastic really, and that middle bit is the bit that's snapped, and that's the bit that tends to go, and the central bit obviously is there. No, I just ordered a replacement set off eBay, so I can't really point you in the direction where to get them from, because you can get them on Amazon, eBay, plenty enough, and they're cheap enough as well. Now, if they're going to last in quality, I can't really comment on that. Now, you can probably say that the plastic is a bit cheaper, but who knows. So I'm going to reuse the actual center section off the original controller and then just put these shoulder buttons in. But if you're doing the same, make sure that the small holes that you can see both line up, and I'll just put the shoulder buttons on just to show you how they're going to sit, but this is not how you assemble it. You assemble it all in sort of with the shoulder button and the centerpiece together. I can just get the camera to focus on the two small dots. So them two small dots that you can see on that center bit, they line up with the actual shoulder buttons themselves. So when you put it in, make sure it all fits in before you start building up, because if that doesn't sit flush inside there, if you're doing the same, then it can end up with a sort of bulging in the middle as it would be. So I'll put the shoulder buttons on so you can just see how they line up and what to check, because it's worth just checking this before you start building and start putting it all back together. So just make sure it's been well made. Like I said, it's non-Microsoft shoulder buttons really, so make sure that the mold and the buttons work correctly. Once you're happy with that, then put the centerpiece onto the buttons and offer the assembly up to the controller, like so. Make sure that at the back there is a small micro USB connector. Make sure that the centerpiece doesn't try and slot into that, because you can damage the micro USB port on the actual controller itself. And obviously, as you can see there, so just being careful, make sure it's all going in where it should do. So when you're pushing it down, make sure that the arms on the shoulder buttons are going into the slots that I showed you earlier in the video. So do that by just checking inside each side here, and you should be able to see that the arm there is just slotting inside where that micro switch is. So make sure that's right on both sides. And also there's a small tab just on the end. You can see there that just clicks in as well to the black plastic on the main body. So it's just a case of just working away along it and just making sure it's all going to sit down nicely, because the Xbox center button there you can see there will just obviously keep it off. But once you get it and you're comfortable that it's all going to push in, just give it a push and it should click in like so. And once that clicks in, then obviously you know you've got it in position correctly. So then make sure that it's all sat and doing what it should do. So give the trigger buttons a push, give the shoulder buttons a push, make sure that the micro switches are working. And you can see there the fit's not quite as good as the original Xbox controller, but I think when we get it built up it should be fine. So it's just a case of just checking everything, making sure it's all working, make sure the shoulder buttons are working fine, make sure they're clicking on the micro switches correctly before we start to build up. So I have been called out before on other tutorials I've done for not showing the rebuild of these things, so we're going to rebuild it, and obviously I'll speed up the bits that we don't need to spend time doing. So the first thing is to put the ribbon cable back in. So off of the main body up to the back, where the shoulder buttons, the little PCB board there, or the board that it connects to, push the connector in and then flip the small black connector down to lock it in place. Then you want to click the main body into the rear panel, making sure everything is, like I said before, make sure everything's where it should be. So that is now seated quite correctly. So again, making sure that the battery tabs as well, there's two metal tabs that sit inside the battery compartment. Make sure they go on the inside so you can see the actual metal contacts, because I've done that before, rebuilt it, and the battery contacts have been on the wrong side. Put your slider on in the center bit, the 1 and 2 settings, then put your front of your controller back on like so. Then we can flip it over and then we can put our 5 screws back in. So I'll start with the central one, and again at any point of this build, just check all your buttons are all still working, especially when you start clamping things back down. So put the 5 screws in, there's 2 either side of the arms, so 2 in that one like so, on that one. Make sure all the buttons working, everything's okay, it all feels good. Then we can put the cover plates back on. Now we've got the 5 screws back in, so that one just clicks on like so. Again, the other arm just click on like so again. Make sure it all sits nice. Battery back in. This is a rechargeable battery pack, so not the double AAs like normal, so put that in, put the cover on. And then we need to just put the thumbsticks and the D-pad back on, so put these on, put the thumbsticks on, like so, and then we just need to put the panels on. Incidentally, I have done another video if you're looking at how to repair the thumbsticks. If you just go to my channel, there is a repair on the thumbsticks as well. So yeah, you can see there the gap is slightly different than the original controller. I'll just bring another controller in, an Xbox Elite, a newer one, and you can see this is obviously original, it's not been repaired. So there is a slight colour difference, and the new shoulder buttons are on the repaired one. And also the gaps are not quite as good. It's not quite as nice as fit, but it all works fine. So on the repaired Xbox One X controller on the right, you can see it's just slightly different profile on the shoulder buttons as well compared to the original Xbox One controller. Well, that's it. That's how to repair your Xbox One X or Xbox One controller, the shoulder buttons on your controller. So please do click on one of these videos here that I'm indicating here and watch one of my other videos on my channel. Also give us a thumbs up if you like the video, any comments below, and please do click on the subscribe button I'm indicating to there to subscribe to Crafty Doctor on YouTube, and thanks again for watching.